So, who else has lost their family to Trump? I had this horrible conversation with my dad, my sister-in-law. They're still, after all this shit, they're still Trump supporters. And it's like, how can I respect you? How can I respect you if you are still a Trump supporter when you have a daughter and a great-granddaughter? Fuck off. Right? I share with my dad that his dad did bad things to me. And that I was really grossed out about the fact that like his eldest sister like got married at 16 because, you know, and that my granddad was 32 and my grandma was 14 or something. I was like, that's so gross. You know what my dad's response was? Thumb up. And then he erased that thumbs up. That's all he responded with. But yeah, he's a Trump supporter. How has Trump stolen my family from me? I don't think I can talk to my dad or my sister-in-law, my brother ever again because they believe in this gross human. He's so gross. I mean, he's raped 13-year-olds. He's a grifter. I mean, this is long before he got into politics. He's just been a gross human. It's well documented. It's decades. Open your fucking eyes. It's like we've known this all our whole lives. Anybody who's smart knows that Donald Trump is like the grossest human on the planet. And you're going to choose him over your child?
Fart facts that will blow you away. Fart 7. Men tend to fart more often than women, but women's farts have a higher concentration of gases, making them smellier. The fear of accidentally farting while on a date is known as ephinopyroclophobia. In 2011, a man in Denmark was fired from his job for farting too much at work. The famous silent but deadly farts are called stealth or ninja farts. Send this to someone who has no shame in their fart game. A sperm whale's fart is so potent that it can be smelled from over a mile away. Ancient Romans used to hold farting contests as a form of entertainment. Farts were once believed to carry deadly diseases, leading to the use of fart jars in the Middle Ages to protect against illnesses. On average, people fart between 13 and 21 times per day. Some people can control their farts to be quieter or louder on purpose. A shart is a combination of a fart and a small amount of poop that shoots out and surprises you. A study shows that 50% of people say they've used farting as an excuse to leave a boring conversation. Fart facts that
oh boy. Oh yeah, the first one, the left is losing it. They're losing it. But the second video, there's just something about farts, right? Just something about farts. Oh, where do we get started today? Oh, we already got started, didn't we? I need to scroll down farther because there are some in here that that I didn't cover with Dave last night because we were engrossed in many topics last night. Covered quite a bit actually. Went from we covered we covered quite a bit last night. We those of you that have not seen it yet, you might want to tune into last night's program and kind of filter through it, pick out the things that you need, and then go from there. Let's see. I'm getting close. Okay, there's. Okay, all right. Surprising segment on CNN. There we go. This is where we're going to get started. We got quite a few to go through today. I don't know how long I'm going to be on. We are actually thunder and lightning storms right now. So I am surrounded by every dog because they don't like it. And even the little puppies are underneath my desk now. I'm tired of this. It's like they take shifts in growing up to be underneath my desk. So I'm sitting about 1.5 feet away from my desk because I can't roll not a single inch forward. Because why? Because they are underneath my desk. And I don't want to step on the poor little buggers. Yeah. The life of a dog breeder is so awful. So awful. All right. Here we go. Surprising segment on CNN. Here we go.
This comes as the former president is trying to appeal more to the black community, a group that has long and overwhelmingly backed Democrats. CNN's Ellie Reeves spent time recently in Virginia at a shop selling Trump merchandise that's run by a black woman.
Every woman ought to have one of these. It's one of those things that when people see one, then they want one. Same thing with the Confederate hat. You know why? Because people don't think you have the nerve to do it.
Joanne Price runs a Trump store in Christiansburg, Virginia.
When Joe Biden announced he wouldn't run for president again, was there any part of you who felt a pull to vote for Harris?
No, absolutely not. I would not vote for either one of them. I would not vote Democrat ticket. No way.
This is a white privilege card. And this is just a play. It just says this card trumps everything, and it gives a barrier, happiness and success because of the color of the skin.
And who buys that?
White people.
Okay.
It's funny.
And then when you give it to a state trooper, they'll let you go. Won't write you a ticket.
You think so?
I've experienced it.
Yeah. Wait, really?
And then he said, okay, he laughed at it and gave it back to me and did not write me a ticket.
This actually happened at least once elsewhere. In 2022, a woman claimed Alaska police let her go without a ticket when she flashed a white privilege card instead of a driver's license.
It's humorous to us, you know. It really is. It's humorous to the average American out here.
The 2-1, he was a Republican too.
Trump has been working to appeal to black voters, and polls showed some success when Biden was still in the race, but have since gone down.
The Trump campaign this year has made a big effort to reach out to black voters. What do you think of their efforts?
I think their efforts are succeeding tremendously. All the things that have happened to President Trump, the attacks on him, have done nothing more than strengthen black people's connection to him, because now he's someone who is the target of a struggle, and they have always felt that they've been a target. I did prison ministries for 5 years. So, you know, if you're a convicted felon and then somebody else is a convicted felon, there's a camaraderie there.
Donald Trump attacked Kamala Harris, questioning her racial identity. She's black.
Promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
He's acknowledged his commentary has provoked mixed reactions. Price is just one person and not a swing voter. But we were curious what she made of his comments, given that she's a black woman and fervent Trump supporter and former local Republican Party chair.
How do you make sense of how Trump talks about Vice President Kamala Harris, that he sort of suggests that he doesn't understand her biracial background, that first she was Indian and then she was black? What
I
do you
don't
make of
understand
that?
it either. She's Indian and she's Jamaican.
Yeah.
Is she black?
I mean, do you not think she's Black?
Is she? Was she born here?
Yes.
Yes. Were her parents citizens? No.
Okay. But we have birthright citizenship in America.
Mm-hmm. We call that anchor.
People can't immigrate here and not be citizens, but have green cards and work permits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. However, she can claim to be Black because of her Jamaican father. You know, that's her right. We're a melting pot, you know, because I basically have a combination in my family as well.
How do you reconcile that? Like, you have a history of blended families in your family. How do you reconcile that with Trump seeming to not understand how Kamala Harris could have a blended family herself?
She could have a blended family. What I'm saying is his comments about that, I think he's making a point. And, you know, I'm not so disturbed by that.
But what is the point he's making?
The point he's making simply is that she is not a black person.
There were some mixed views on the idea of a woman president.
What do you think about Kamala Harris?
Kamala Harris, may I say this, and hopefully that you ladies won't get offended. But because of what happened in the Garden of Eden, there will never be an elected woman, whether she's Black or white, that would occupy the White House that God would ever stand behind.
I'm not sure America's quite ready for female leadership. It would be wonderful to have a female president if and when one arises that has conservative values that are going to lead the nation in prosperity.
Did Joe Biden dropping out change your view of the election at all?
Oh, it surely did. I think she's going to be worse than Joe. I just don't think she has the experience. I think she was only chosen because she was a woman.
He has been mocked, scrutinized, slandered, dragged into court. This man is still standing, and he's standing strong because he knows that he was chosen. He's our David.
And Ella Reeve joins me now. I'm wondering what you heard from other customers in the store.
Well, as much as identity politics was rebuked by the merchandise there, identity was still really important to the people I spoke to. For example, one younger man told me that he didn't like Harris because she was for city people who had office jobs, whereas Trump was for blue-collar people like him.
And how did you meet the woman who runs the store?
I met her about 6 months ago in Virginia. She told me this story of wearing a Confederate flag swimsuit on the beach and how so many people had come up to her. She realized she'd missed a marketing opportunity. Obviously, I wanted to talk to her about what she thought about Harris's nomination, but she wasn't going to budge on that. And of course, polls show that she is not in the majority among Black women. Even a Black woman who was our taxi driver on the
Yeah, they can try and spin it. You know, that's the thing is they get a story, right, that 100% promotes Trump, but then they've got to do these little conversations afterwards.
Now, this comes as former president.
And try and downplay what has transpired. Yeah. All right. Clown World put out Arkansas Sheriff's Office under fire. Father confronts Chief Deputy Jacob Shook, who's accused of sending inappropriate messages to his minor child. Despite the serious allegations, Shook remains on the job. Here we go. It's a little bit hard to hear at the beginning, but it goes up after.
August 1st to give a report of Jacob Shook grooming my daughter, sending inappropriate Snapchats to her. I called him on the 1st. I called him at 4 p.m. on the Johnson County phone. I was respectful. I have that recorded. I said nothing but yes, sir, no, sir. I asked him a question. I asked him why he Snapchatted her and said, I'm a weirdo, ain't I? And he said, let me call you back, or can I call you back? I said, yes, sir. You got my number? He confirmed my number with me, and we got off the phone. He never called me back. On the first, that Friday, on the 2nd, I went down there. I walked into the sheriff's department place. I walked into the other side. I didn't know which side to go. I've never been down there. I walked in there. There was a trustee. I walked up to the glass window, and I said, "Am I in the right spot?" Jacob Shook walked in. He said, "You looking for me?" I said, "Yes, sir, I am." He stuck his hand out to shake it. I said, "I ain't shaking your hand." He pulled me in a closet. Now, they're going to say it's some kind of office. It may be an office. That's not where you go to do a statement. That's common, Sheriff. That's not where you go. There was cops knocking on the door as I'm talking to him. "Can I put my gun in there? Can I put my gun in there?" He's putting his gun on the desk in between us as I'm telling him what he's doing. He never denied sending her Snapchats. He confirmed the reason why he said "you're so pretty" is because she's beautiful. He texted another little girl, Snapchatted her, and said "cute toes." I recorded this because when I called him and he never called me back, I knew he was going to weasel his way out of it. I knew it was going to be a cop's word against mine. So I recorded it. I knew I was going to take it in there to that sheriff, and the sheriff was going to say, "What? You're done. You like kids. You can't be up here." I recorded after I did all that. You hear at the very end of the audio, one of the cops tried to tell me to be quiet and push me out. I got a little vocal about that. Jacob Shook is telling him to be quiet because he knows that he's the one that's in wrong, but ain't nobody saying anything to him. They're only telling me to go and me to be quiet. I catch 2 cops outside. I recorded them. I told them what happened. There was no jaws dropped when I said Jacob Shook's a pedophile. There was no no way. There was nothing. I told him what happened, and I said he told me to come back Monday at 10 a.m. On the recording, you hear my wife asked to do a written report. He said come back Monday at 10 or email it in. That's what he said. I asked several officers to get the sheriff. I went inside. I talked to the county clerk. I asked her for him. I asked Officer Nicely for him. Nicely came out at the very end and said, "I'm sorry. I thought he had 1 meeting, but he has 3, and he can't come out and see. He'll give you the number." I confirmed my number with me. By the time I made it to Russell, he called me. I gave him everything that I just told everybody. I told him about the Snapchats, the date, the cute toes, the call before, all of that. And he said, "Okay, send me the audio. We're going to look into it." I didn't send the audio till Monday because I'm going to be honest, nobody did nothing. Nothing. He still had a gun and a badge on it. And no, the sheriff should have, I don't know what meeting was going on, but for it to be the chief deputy, it could have ended. Okay, for everybody, I got a lot more. I got proof of every single thing. If y'all want to meet me outside, I'll give it to you.
Shit. Yeah, I'm sorry. All right, we'll go back. Well, actually, I'll cover the other one. So 1% control the world, 4% are sellout puppets, 90% are asleep, 5% no, and are trying to wake up to 90%. And the 1% don't want the 5% to wake up to 90%. I bet you heard that. Yeah. All right. All right. Charlie Kirk says America was founded as a Christian nation. Prove me wrong.
Our country was founded on common law because the Declaration only refers to God 4 times in the Constitution. It doesn't refer to God at all. And it only articulates the structure of government.
So first of all, remember that we were a collection of states and colonies, and you need to read the state constitutions before anything else. 13 out of 13 required a declaration of faith. 9 out of 13 required you to be a Protestant, except Maryland, which was Catholic, which still required a declaration of faith. Every single one of the original state constitutions, Pennsylvania included, they had, I profess Lord and Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior in the original state constitutions. Secondly, 55 out of 56 of the original signers of the Declaration were Bible-believing, church-attending Christians. You asked about common law. So common law is inherited from Blackstone, who was Christian. A common law is an outgrowth of the scriptures. So let's go to 3 principles of common law: presumption of innocence, due process, and jury of your peers. All 3 are biblical principles. So, and all wrapped into the ultimate biblical principle that you shall not favor justice if you are rich or poor, which is in Leviticus 19, right before the most famous part of Leviticus 19, which is that you should love your neighbor as yourself. But before that is that in the administration of justice, you shall not favor the rich or the poor, which is the idea of blind justice. We get that in the West, which is incorporated also in the New Testament ideal. Neither slave nor Greek nor Jew, you're all one in Jesus Christ, as you get the idea of human equality. These are all biblical ideas. They're not Enlightenment ideas. But more importantly than that, they say that God was only mentioned 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. Well, that's a big deal, okay? Laws of nature and nature's God. The last paragraph of the Declaration reads as a prayer. It says, we appeal to the supreme judge of the universe. Who's the judge of the universe? Jesus Christ. It says in Revelation that Jesus will judge the earth on his throne. So in the Declaration, they were praying to Christ our Lord as a prayer very specifically. Thirdly, as I said on stage yesterday, Deuteronomy was by far the most quoted book, religious or non-religious, in the time of the founding when they were putting together the Constitution, more than John Locke, more than Montesquieu, more than Blackstone. So the book of Deuteronomy, which talked about laws, customs, traditions. It was Moses' farewell address as he's about to say goodbye, say, hey, good luck in Canaan, guys. Here's how you should set up your form of government. But finally, and most importantly, let's look at actually what the founders said. John Adams famously said the Constitution was only written for a moral and religious people. It was wholly inadequate for the people of any other. The body politic of America was so Christian and was so Protestant that our form and structure of government was built for the people that believed in Christ our Lord. One of the reasons we're living through a constitutional crisis is that we no longer have a Christian nation, but we have a Christian form of government, and they're incompatible. So you cannot have liberty if you do not have a Christian population.
Dang. Charlie Kirk. Yep. All right. Glenn Beck.
Do you realize that this election will be the first time in almost 50 years that a Clinton, Bush, or Biden are not on the ticket? This is a cabal, and they just keep switching places. The Obama-Biden regime's socialist globalist redesign of America is happening. As I mentioned earlier, it's patient, it's long-term project. Requires them, however, at this point, to retain the White House. They have to concentrate their authoritarian power, and if they lose that to somebody like Donald Trump, it could fall apart. It is telling that Harris has already added 3 leaders to her campaign staff who managed Barack Obama's campaigns in 2008 and 2010. And last week, Axios reported on a scary prospect who Harris is expected to name in her cabinet if she wins. The report names Eric Holder as her potential chief of staff, Jake Sullivan as the potential Secretary of State, and Rahm Emanuel as the Beeve, possibly the national security advisor. The Axios reports say that Emanuel will be a key player in the transition if Harris wins. Almost everyone mentioned in this report either worked in the Obama administration or have close ties to the Obama, Biden, Clinton network. Do you see what's going on here?
Yep. Yeah, they're going to combine them all to try and make it change. All right. Liz Crokin.
And then we had Balenciaga come out. And I know most of you are probably aware that Balenciaga was sexually exploiting children in their ads, but it's also important to note that some of the top people working at Balenciaga were also openly promoting cannibalism, satanic ritualistic abuse, blood rituals, child abuse. I mean, some of the worst stuff you've ever seen. Now, when Pizzagate came out in 2016, a lot of associates of the Clintons shared very similar content on their social media pages. And I encourage you to look into John and to Tony Podesta's art. Tony Podesta had art all over his home promoting pedophilia. John Podesta had a painting in his campaign office as he was working for Hillary Clinton's campaign depicting cannibalism. Balenciaga, Pizzagate, the Podestas, it all ties together. And I also would encourage you to research the name Rachel Chandler. I think.
Yeah. It's one thing when you get rich people's ear, but it's another thing when you got the American people's ear. That's what I say.
This was all masterfully planned and executed. During the Civil War, the Constitutional Republic abandoned Congress, which forced President Lincoln to issue martial law. At this time, the Republic was taken over by foreign insurgents who replaced it with the United States of America, Inc., in all caps, in 1871. A corporation that had the same name, the United States. What better way to replace it without anyone noticing that they just got turned into a business and commercialized? Now, this corporation was later purchased by the banking powers behind the Fed in 1912. The Fed was created in 1913. Why did this happen? Well, the US was bankrupt when we sold the United States to foreign banking cartels, if you will. Salvage liens were placed on every asset. Check this out, including the people of the new federalized states. Now let's fast forward to 1933. An income tax was placed on the people to pay these foreign bankers who own the IMF, which owns the IRS. Look into what the IRS actually is. Who is the IMF owned by? You got to follow the money. Who funds it? It's the same people that own the United States Inc. Same few families, and they're not American. So when I say foreign insurgents, that's what I mean. So 1933, USA Inc. goes bankrupt. An income tax is placed on its people. In other words, you and I were turned into property. Look it up. We were turned into cattle, and we were collateralized in order to turn us, humans, flesh and blood, into a means of paying off a massive debt. But the problem is that while you are technically a person, you've entered into contracts that you're completely unaware of, such as your birth certificate, social security number, etc., that are all saying, I consent to being collateralized. You're living as property, as opposed to living as a blood and flesh natural being. On paper, you are property. You are a corporation right now. You might be hearing this and thinking, we're fucked. We're property? Are you kidding me? And that's true. And property doesn't have rights. But here is both the blessing and the curse. There are multiple of you. Just like there's multiple United States of Americas. Sleight of hand, remember? What hat do they want to wear? There are multiple of you. The insane irony in all of this is the fact that they are actually now liable for all of your alleged obligations, aka debts. That's what a debt means. You can play a wrong move in chess and still win the game. And commerce is chess. Their greatest attempt to set us back actually is their greatest weakness. How can we owe debt if the United States is liable for all of its property? If we're its property, then it's the United States' burden to pay our debt. And that is exactly what the law says. I'm going to leave you guys with two different codes that I highly recommend you look into. First is going to be the House Joint Resolution Act 192. And when that occurred, the dollar was turned into what is called Federal Reserve debt notes. If we're being asked to pay debts, but all we are given from the system is debt notes, aka fiat money, to pay back those debts, how can we pay a debt with a debt? I just want you to sit with that. They never gave you lawful money. They never gave you gold. They never gave you silver. The other side of it is looking into 18 USC 8, 18 United States Code 8. You're going to come to find out that that's literally telling you that the United States is liable for all debt. All of your debt, the United States is liable for it. How can you pay a debt with debt notes? Don't let that go over your head. They already got paid. Whoever's coming after you, saying you owe a debt, whatever, they already got paid. Why would you be paying it twice? Common law, a completely different, higher level set of law that comes from God, the creator, is for a natural blood and flesh man. And yet you have been following legal law your entire life.
Yep. All right, Dan Bongino.
I expose exactly who you are and who you're working for. So yesterday, I said to you that good quality sources of mine are very upset that Kellyanne Conway and people in that orbit are apparently doing what they can to sabotage J.D. Vance out there on the circuit and leaking stories. And these sources are really good. And I'm not giving my sources up. Forget it. Many people thanked me yesterday for exposing Kellyanne Conway and these efforts, and others. Not the only one, by the way. So some jerkwad named Kurt Bordello, whatever the hell his name is. I've never heard of this guy. I don't think his parents have either. Kurt Bordello.
1 second, guys. Bear with me.
This was all master.
Bordello, I guess he's pretending to be a Republican, says, I'm no defender of Kellyanne, but this is an open threat that could only lead to violence. Holy shit. Listen, fuckwad, let me tell you something right away. Nobody, and I mean no one, and thank you to all the people who defended me on Twitter, no one has spoken out against political violence and actually worked against it as a Secret Service agent for Democrats and Republicans more than me, while you were sitting there with your finger up your ass, okay? So you can shut the fuck up, okay? You can go sit down in the corner with your dopey dunce cap on and shut up with your stupid left-wing talking points. Nobody has spoken out more passionately against it repeatedly against political violence than good quality. You know exactly what I was saying, and you put this out there. I don't know who put it up to you, who put you up to it, to shut me up. Inspiring violence by telling her it is a warning, and it was a warning against this. So now you want to F around, Kurt Bordello, or whatever the hell your name is, you dipshit. Now we're going to talk about it twice because you tried your little left-wing tactics to shut me down. Lead to violence? Are you insane? Are you on drugs? Are you always this fucking stupid? Or is it just like a Thursday, Wednesday thing? I'm warning these people out there now. If you're going to sabotage the ticket, I am going to expose who you are. And if you say, oh my gosh, that's going to lead to, you're just doing the left-wing tactic. And now we're going to expose what I'm talking about because of you. So Kellyanne and others, you can thank Kurt for opening his stupid mouth and saying something so freaking dumb. Anyone out there want to go out and compile the 1,000+ times I've told people, you engage in any political violence, you're not welcome on my show. This is what left-wingers do. This is exactly what they do to shut you down. It is a warning. It was a warning against this. Kellyanne Conway, Politico, becomes the latest DC power player linked to Victor Pinchuk. Folks, you know who Victor Pinchuk is? So let's go over this slowly and show you exactly, because folks, listen, I promise you, okay? This always makes me a little uneasy. I'm not trying to sell you any of these books. I don't care. Get them from the library, borrow them from your friends. I genuinely don't care. I'm one of the few guys who's asking you intentionally, don't buy my books. I don't care. I'm just trying to tell you, I have been on this for a long time. This is why Kellyanne Conway worries me. I'm going to show you what I mean in a second in my book. Kellyanne Conway is working for Victor Pinchuk. Here it is in Politico, right here, Bullshitico. But they're not wrong. She's got a contract with the Pinchuk Foundation, which runs through November 14th, election season. Comes with a $50,000 a month retainer fee. Kellyanne Conway will advise Victor Pinchuk on the current state of views on Ukraine. Oh, look, they note that J.D. Vance's name in there, too. Kellyanne Conway was no fan of J.D. Vance. Now you see where all this negative stuff is coming from? Do I have to put this together for everyone out there, including Kurt Bordello of whatever, this freaking moron? What is he, some kind of swampy D-bag? Politico also notes that Victor Pinchuk has long been making cameos in U.S. politics. Holy shit, he donated millions to the Clinton Foundation. Now he's got Kellyanne Conway under contract. Oh, my God. Thank you, Kurt Bordello. Thank you for toying with us yesterday with your dumbass left-wing talking point. You're inspiring violence. No, you're inspiring stupidity, dipshit. Pinchuk? So Pinchuk's paying Kellyanne Conway, who's supposed to be on our team, and he's also donated millions upon millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation. Matter of fact, the Clintons were so eager to hide their relationship with Pinchuk, which I've been exposing for years, by the way. This is why this topic is like front of mind right here. That when there was a bunch of emails exposing a dinner Pinchuk had with the Clintons did everything they could to make it go away. Matter of fact, the Washington Examiner did some good work on this right around the time I was. Put that headline up if you would. Emails show Clinton denied and then met with a Ukrainian donor. Crazy. Who was that? Victor Pinchuk, who gave up to $25 million to the Clinton Foundation. Darn, that's so weird. They were trying to hide their email. It's the same guys. It's almost like I told you in my book to remember the names and follow the money. But Hunter Biden and George Soros, funny you say that, Guy, because I wrote a book called Spygate. And look, Victor Pinchuk has his own chapter. You can actually look. Here's page 18. They note that Sergei Lyshenko, one of the guys, by the way, who started the whole PP tape hoax, Russia collusion things, you know that? He's Ukrainian. Do you know that? His name's Lyshenko. Lyshenko has a history with Victor Pinchuk. Wow. Turns out that he got some money when his tax returns were leaked. And the money, however, didn't come from Pinchuk. The Pinchuk Foundation received the money from George Soros's International Renaissance Foundation. Oh, my God. What the hell? How is that? Soros, Pinchuk, Lyshenko, Russia collusion, PP hoax? So you're telling me the guy that started the whole Russia collusion thing, this guy Lyshenko, you're telling me he has ties to this guy Pinchuk and Soros, who's now paying Kellyanne Conway? Kurt, Kelly should really thank you. Really, because you know what? I was going to let that go. But now we're not. Now we're not. So weird, too. I got a whole chapter in a book called Follow the Money. You can borrow it from the library. Don't buy it. I don't want your money. Borrow it. Follow the money. The first chapter is called Insane in Ukraine, where you can go over the entire Ukrainian connection, how they've been buying off U.S. lawmakers for years. Does not mean they deserve to be invaded. Does not mean Russia's the good guy. Does not mean we don't have an interest. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means J.D. Vance, why I support him, by the way, is well aware that we have a very checkered history with Ukrainians interfering in our politics. The Ukrainians started the collusion hoax, folks. Lyshenko, who knows Pinchuk and was getting money from the Soros Foundation. It's in the book. Just read page 18 of Spygate. It's all footnoted, folks. It's all footnoted. There's 30 pages of endnotes. I've been writing about this forever. So the same guy, Pinchuk, is paying off Kellyanne $50,000 a month up into the election for some Ukrainian interests and is a big Clinton donor. Why was he a big Clinton donor? Let's go to Newsweek back in 2015. Newsweek, not some right-wing rag, folks, okay? Left-wing lunatics. Why was Victor Pinchuk so interested in the Clintons? Well, Victor Pinchuk, it turns out, the Ukrainian that's paying off Kellyanne Conway, he had this steel company. Put that up on the screen. That steel company, it turns out, had a series of shipments to Iran that may have violated sanctions back in 2011 and 2012. Shipments to Iran that could have caused Victor Pinchuk and his company a lot of trouble. Who could have helped him out in 2011 and 2012? Does anybody remember? You guys know who was in office back then? Oh, that was the Obama man with the Clinton. Is this a... So when I say follow the money, I mean follow the money, not This doesn't mean this in a figurative sense. It's in a literal sense. Follow the money. Here it is. Just go to page 18. You can read the Pinchuk chapter yourself. Thank you, Kurt Bardello. Told you a lot of people be upset today. But you can rely on your good friend Dan, who gives zero shits about any of these losers like Kurt Bordello or whatever the hell his name is. You tell me not to talk about something, I talk about it twice. Now, if you want to keep going, we can go into more tomorrow into Kellyanne's payments and stuff. Like, we can do that. We can do that if you'd like. Now, does it make sense why you're seeing all these leaks in the paper? Republican anonymous sources are saying J.D. Vance is terrible. Really? It's funny. Because everybody I know in the Republican Party seems to love him, man. He's slated on the weekend show. He's been doing amazing. It's incredible how it's only these select operatives. Does that make sense? JD says, maybe we should look into what's going on in Ukraine before we give more money. There's a lot of corruption over there, too. Again, they don't deserve this. I am in no way I am the most anti-Putin guy. I actually spent time in Russia, and we were victims of their nonsense, okay? Me and a partner of mine in the Secret Service. But you see how when you question this massive defense industry symbiote here with the government, anyone like J.D. Vance, the lobbyists and the money comes in, and all of a sudden you start seeing the left-wing media, who, by the way, profits off war too. You see the left-wing media, oh, J.D. Vance, big trouble. Trump team's quietly whispering they need to get rid of him. Nobody's whispering that. No one is whispering. Nobody is whispering that. You want to keep going, we can keep going. And yes, it is a warning. And no, fuck sticks. This has absolutely nothing to do with political violence, you pieces of shit. No one, nobody has condemned political violence louder than me. You want us to put together a big hour-long... No one. And I don't give a damn about your politics. Once you cross that red line, there's no going back.
Yep. Once you cross that red line, there is no going back. And how many times have we heard about that red line? All right, here we go.
Have you guys ever heard of Mel's Hole? This is the wildest thing. So this dude named Mel, he bought this land in like central Washington in the 90s. He discovered there's a hole on his property. And he's like, what's up with this hole, man? It's like, I can't see the bottom of it. You guys are like, oh yeah, neighbors, like since forever have just been throwing trash down it, and like we even throw like our dead cows down it and stuff. And so he had like a big rig set up for like shark fishing, and he had a spool of fishing line on it that reached 1,500 yards, right? He tied something heavy to it and let it down, didn't hit the bottom. So he bought more and more spools of fishing line. Each spool was 5,000 yards long. It equated to the amount that he bought was 80,000 feet long. What? Never touched the bottom.
Deepest points in the ocean, right?
Yeah. Which the Mariana Trench is 35,876 feet deep. He's like, there's a lot of weird stuff about this hole. Dogs are afraid of this hole. Animals are afraid of this hole. And he said, in fact, one of my neighbors once told me that his dog died and he threw the dog down the hole. And he said the next morning that dog was on his porch. What?
Like
alive. Alive. And so Mel made the joke. He said, when I die, throw me down that hole. He talked to another neighbor about this hole, and the neighbor's like, yeah, there used to be these stone pillars erected around this hole. And he said that neighbors had reported seeing from this hole this black beam shoot from this hole, right? So a lot of weird stuff. Yeah.
And that's in Washington State. Yeah. Mel's Hole. Sounds like a porno. Mel's Hole. See it this Friday. I'm sorry. I can't. Sometimes I can't help myself. I try. I try really, really hard to be good, folks. I do. I try really, 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 really hard. And because it's raining outside, all the dang flies from all over the damn farm are making their way into the office. What the heck? I'm killing flies left and right. So when you hear me smacking things in the background, it's because I killed another one. And I hate having to kill bugs. You know, normally they don't come in here at all. But with this rain this early in the season, normally, okay, so normally Oregon, we have 90 to 115 degrees all the way through the entire month of August and all the way up until about the second week of September. Then the second week of September, clouds start coming in. And then right around the 1st of October is when the rains normally start. For this to be happening this early in the season, it makes me wonder what exactly is going on with our weather. You know, it's just too much. All right. On August 14th, Mr. Weeks, a.k.a. Dane C. Weeks, posted that he literally saw Barron, Trump is who he's talking, slap the fuck out of his nanny in Central Park after school, says Sarah Fields. His post now sits at 19 million views. His posts have been nothing short of defamation, and he even claimed that Barron touched little boys inappropriately. Weeks has stated that he is a professional behavior specialist and that he owned a daycare. A search on the New York State site for his license came up futile. However, just to be certain, I called the New York City Board of Health. According to their office, Dane Weeks is not and has never been licensed in any capacity. Furthermore, the office confirmed that owning a daycare while claiming to be a professional behavior specialist without a license is illegal in the state of New York. Lastly, Dane Weeks was suspended from X for bullying and harassment, etc. Somehow, he created a brand new X account, which is in violation of X policies. Dane Weeks has either broken the law by operating illegally or he operated it in another capacity around Barron and lied and defamed Barron Trump. This is the recording.
Thank you for your patience in holding. Can you spell the last name for me, please? Yes, W-E-E-K-S. And the first name? Dane, D-A-N-E. So W-E-E-K-S, yes. D-A-N-E, correct? Yes, Dane Weeks. Yeah, I'm not pulling up anything under that name. Do you have a license number? I don't. Would it pull up if he had a past license or if he had a license? But once you're licensed, yes. But once you're licensed in New York, you're always licensed. You have to be registered to practice, but you're always licensed. Okay. So if you're not, I don't have a license number, but so Dane C. Weeks is not pulling up at all for New York. Correct. Okay. And you said C? Yes, Dane C. Weeks. Okay. Yeah, I'm not pulling anything up. Okay, if I can ask, if there is someone stating that they are a professional behavior specialist, and they have claimed that they are running a daycare, but they're not licensed, is that legal in New York? No. I mean, generally, we license behavior analysts. Okay. But no, I mean, if you're stating that you're licensed, then you should be licensed. That's correct. Okay. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. If I need any more help, I will call back. Thank you so much. Yeah, you have a great day. You too.
You know, so she just wanted to show that, yeah, I showed, this is, all right. So Dana Weeks is a suspended account. Okay. I don't give a flying fuck. Hitler did some amazing things too. How many HBCUs took Dr. Cosby's money? Over 70 million in donations. Are we going to boycott until they give that tainted money back, or are we going to sweep it under the rug? And then we go on, and or a Russian she-male. It's I'm sure Putin has video of Trump getting pegged by some Russian working girls or a Russian she-male. Yeah. account suspended. Okay, going on to the next one. And it's, wait, I didn't work at a wealthy daycare. I owned it. I never received 1 cent from Trump, but I will never deny a child the opportunity not to be included in an activity because of who their parents are. So after the first lady called my phone, I told her Barron is welcomed. Laughed my ass off. I'm a behavioral specialist. That's why he only smiles when he's with me. Why do you think people? Why do you think people are saying that was the only time they ever saw that boy smile? See, I don't knock kids for having fuck up parents or a part of a racist ass political party, Courtney. So this gentleman, Mr. Weeks, who claims to be a behavioral specialist, has photos of him with Barron Trump when he was just 9 years old. Claims to have seen Barron slap if you scroll through the comment section on his post that now has 13 million. Yeah. And I mean, I literally saw Barron slap and Trump has enlisted Barron and his best friend, Bo Loudon, 17, to scare the Gen Z. And yeah. Oh, yeah. So, but wait, there's more. Let's just keep cooking. Apparently, he hates it when white people use that word. Mr. Weeks, let's call him Mr. Week now, lied on his platform and said he had obtained his certification as a behavioral specialist in 2022. Barron Trump was a teenager at this point. After I proved earlier that he does not have his license in New York, he stated, because I didn't get my license in New York, with 10 laughing emojis. Working in New York without a New York license is illegal. He would have had to transfer his license to work legally in New York. However, after conducting a more extensive search, Mr. Weeks does not have a license in any state. This man is a liar and cannot even keep up with his own history. He also has a criminal history, several pages long, with 9 traffic violations and 4 misdemeanors, as well as 4 judgments against him and 2 bankruptcies. Yeah. So extensive verse, yep. And it goes into there. So, yeah, so this guy is defaming Barron and should be held accountable for it. Absolutely. I think that going after Donald Trump's son should be 100% off limits. Michael Schellenberger. Here we go.
The instances where price controls are justified are very few and far between, and they are certainly not justified today when it comes to food production. We're not at war, at least not directly, and in various wars since the 1970s, we have not required price controls to prevent inflation. There is a relatively free market when it comes to food, from production to grocery stores. There is no evidence that some new food monopoly has emerged, which is responsible for keeping prices high. The price margins of the grocery industry are just 1.5% per year compared to the all-industry average of 8.5%. And even if there were some price gouging, then the right policy response would be antitrust action by the Justice Department, not price controls. Allowing the market to respond to higher prices through expanded supply is and remains the best and often only long-term way for societies to deal with inflation in non-monopoly sectors of the economy. Around the world, most recently in Venezuela, price controls stifled private sector investment to increase supply, thus failing to address the underlying driver of inflation and often making the situation much worse. None of this is controversial among economists. There's very little debate among mainstream economists, including the ones who support Kamala Harris, like Paul Krugman, that price controls are almost always a bad idea. And most, if not all, of the owners and managers of mainstream newspapers and TV networks that support Harris are likely also against price controls. The idea of price controls on grocery stores and food producers makes so little sense that it's actually highly unlikely that Harris would ever implement them if she becomes president.
And this is the thing, is he who controls the food controls the population. Facts. been that way with every war worldwide. And we are in a war, folks, whether you know it, believe it, or not. Kamala Harris, price controls will do nothing. Inflation is government spending. Here we go.
When Mr. Carter became president, inflation was 4.8%. It is now running at 12.7%. He has blamed the people of living too well. We don't have inflation because the people are living too well. We have inflation because the government is living too well. When Mr. Carter became president, inflation was...
That's simple. Yep. All right. Dennis Quaid. It turns out Facebook is censoring content about the new biopic movie Reagan because they think it can sway the election. That's what Dennis Quaid told Joe Rogan. Even though Rogan hasn't been on the ballot, or Reagan hasn't been on the ballot in 40 years, guaranteed Facebook won't block promos for the Obama movie.
Censorship is happening to us through Facebook. Facebook banned advertising and a lot of the podcasts. This one will probably be banned on Facebook as well. That's over the last couple of months.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because is it a positive film about Reagan? Is that what the idea is that's bothering them?
It's I see it as it's a biopic is really what it is.
Yeah.
It follows him from when he was a boy in Dixon all the way through when he said goodbye to the American people when he was diagnosed for Alzheimer's, after he was president. And it's a fight against communism, which he fought all of his life. But the reason being was that the content in it was an attempt to sway an election. A movie. I mean, the last time I heard, Reagan was on the ballot 40 years ago was the last time.
Do you think if you made a positive Obama movie, it would be to sway an election?
Well, there was an Obama movie that came out during an election year in 2020, and nothing about that. And to me, just the act of banning or censoring that material, as you were talking about, is an attempt to sway an election.
Yeah.
Yep, it is. Yep. All right. What he said. Here we go.
So Donald Trump is the first president to be wiretapped and spied on. He's the first president to be impeached twice and acquitted twice. He's the first president to be banned and censored on social media. He's the first president to have his home raided by the FBI. He's the first president to be indicted not once, but 4 times. And he's the first citizen and former president to have a judge with no unilaterally decided to impose a $350 million fine in a civil case where not a single law was broken, there were 0 victims, and all loans were paid back on time. I don't know about you, but I'm supporting the guy with the most impeachments, indictments, lawsuits, and unconstitutional fines because that's the guy they clearly fear the most. I mean, at this point, unless you live under a rock, whether you love him or whether you hate him, you have to see that this is all politically motivated. For 7 years, it's all been part of a plan to target him, make him bow, take his flag away, humble him, and to break him and his supporters down. The funny thing is, it keeps backfiring. Let me know your thoughts.
Yep, it does. It keeps backfiring because the more they do it, the more people that come out. All right. Listen to what Muhammad Ali's former wife, Dr. Khalila Ali, said when asked if she believes that Muhammad Ali would pick Kamala to be on a ticket and support the Democratic Party in any way.
I don't think, but the fact that the Democrats actually took his title from him, took his passport from him, took everything that he loved most, and that was boxing, stripped him of all of that. No, he wouldn't accept what Kamala says. No.
Yeah, so stop lying on Muhammad's name there. That's not cool. Man ain't here to speak for himself. Leave him alone. Chicago is going to be lit. Here we go.
Nice to see you again. Thanks for coming back
Bill,
to our
it's always a
program
pleasure.
here. Here are some of the far-left groups planning to protest. Let's do this first. Code Pink, Democratic Socialists of America, U.S. Palestinian Community Network, Poor People's Army, Thank God for Abortion, Jewish Voice for Peace, Chicago. Here's what I found interesting. They're bussing in from Minnesota, Michigan, and Wisconsin. We have only heard from those three states going back to Republican convention about a month ago. The plan is to give them a 1 mile route. That's pretty near the United Center where the convention will take place. They want 2.5 miles. The city makes the decision today. What is your guess about what the city decides?
Well, I think, Bill, what we're going to see is that the mayor and his anti-American allies are going to do everything that they can do to accommodate these individuals who are hell-bent on disrupting the Democratic National Convention and, in their own words, making this greater than 1968. We know that the mayor has openly encouraged individuals to be able to protest, and his allies have told people that you don't even have to worry about permits. So whether they get 1 mile or 2 miles, we know that they are going to do everything they can to disrupt not only the convention, but life in the city of Chicago.
Well, and the city's going to try and keep it under control. I don't know how they do it. Bill McGurn writes Wall Street Journal, the Killer Kamala Convention. While party leaders hope for a show of unity, protests, especially if they are accompanied by chaos and violence, would paint a different picture for millions of Americans watching from their living rooms. Raymond, is this going to be a mess?
I think what we're seeing is the beginning of a very difficult week in the city of Chicago. And we're seeing it also with many of the decisions that are going on right now with regards to who is allowed to protest and who is not. We're seeing where many of these groups that called our president Genocide Joe and Murder Kamala are being given permits, where our firefighters and pro-Israel groups are being denied left, right, and center. But we also know that our neighborhoods are going to have many of their 911 calls unanswered because of all the resources deployed to keep both locations, the United Center and McCormick Place, secure. And as Chicago has come to understand these protesters as being outside agitators, America does not. What America will see is a lot of anger and confusion and animosity towards America itself at the Democratic National Convention, which is not the message that we need to send as a party hoping to retain the White House.
Yeah, but you're not going to get a ceasefire in the Middle East. I think a lot of people thought it was possible. That's kind of a pipe dream right now. Hamas just minutes ago said the terms are not what they agreed to. So I don't know what happens there. Maybe Iran doesn't attack Israel for the next week. You can hope for that as well. But there's the potential for a wicked stew.
Absolutely.
Many years after 1968. Go ahead.
And let's not forget, it's been 315 days since hostages were taken, Israeli and American, and we are not pushing forward to try and demand their release in a way that makes sense to everyday Americans, while we are allowing individuals who are basically not just supporting Palestine, but they're supporting Hamas to have their say in the most American of American cities. It's absolutely disgusting, and our leaders need to call it out from the party as well as from the nation.
Raymond Lopez, thanks.
Yeah, interesting. So in some ways, we want to see the protesters be successful, but at the same time, we also don't want to see cities destroyed. Yes, I'd love to see the DNC havoc going on because they've created all of this, right? We've been watching their path of destruction for the last 25 years. We'd love to see them suffer some. But my curiosity is a prophecy. I think this is how you spell it. The Hyatt Chicago. I want to type that in and see if it comes up on the map. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to look at this map as soon as it comes up. There we go. Okay, so here's the airport. There's the Midway Airport. Okay, I want to see where. Okay, and here's O'Hare. I want to see where the Hyatts are located. Let's see. Let's check this one here. Okay, so this one's okay. So you got two Hyatts right here. Now, what I'm curious is, where is the convention center in regards to this? Is what I want to know. So you notice as the closer we get, the more defined like big businesses and things. So you got Costco's, you got home and stuff like that. And I want to see where this convention center is where this is going on, because of the Kim Clement prophecy in regards to something happening at the Hyatt during the DNC. Let's see, DNC Chicago. Let's type that in. Okay, so let's see. Maybe they'll have a map of this. Figures no. All right, so national. Okay, so let me copy this and do that in the search instead. Paste. Okay, so but you see where I'm going with this, right? Let's see here. Kim Hyatt prophecy. Okay, so is that the only place to see it? I really hate pulling up YouTube while we're. Oh, here's one on Instagram. Okay. Go away. Close. Close.
Is something I showed my prophet. I saw it, and I'll tell you what I saw. I saw the Hyatt Regency Hotel. It was not any other hotel. I was in it. I was on the 9th or the 10th floor, and suddenly the walls began to crumble down as there was a terror attack. I'm not sure of the city, but I think it could have been Chicago or that region. And the Spirit of the Lord said, even though this shall be something that is only brought upon by those that have been unrighteous, those who have rejected Israel.
So he was prophesying that something was going to happen. Let's see if there's. Let me see. Oh, dang! I forgot. I can go here. Videos. That's what I wanted. Okay. Yeah, it looks like all of them are on. Okay. Is this the one? No. Dang nabbit. All right, let me go back to here and go here.
Over 40 years ago, Kim and I embarked on a ministry journey that.
Okay, we're going to fast forward through this.
Israel and Jewish people worldwide. We invite you to become a partner today.
I had some insights given to me, and so we're going to go into our usual den. We've called it a den, but it's actually another prophetic alert. God keeps doing these little things with us, especially this week. So I've had a lot of dreams, revelations, more than normal. And I think it's because of the activity that's taking place in the White House, what's taking place with Israel, what's taking place with Saudi Arabia. And I have not watched much of the news, but I'm aware of a few little things. The revelation that I received, or the dream that I received, was about an attack, a terror attack in the United States of America. Now, most people would say, well, that's pretty obvious. It's not actually, because I've had a prophecy that there wouldn't be another 9/11 kind of terror attack, meaning that not on that scale. So I know that there are so many of you watching all over the world, and we have a live audience, by the way, who are privileged to be in the presence of God in the actual building, and it does make a difference. So I encourage you, if you have the opportunity to actually come here, you will notice the difference. It's unbelievable. So we're going to go into praise, and then hopefully God will expound on what I received. It was so overwhelming that when I was in my garden this morning praying, the Spirit of God came on me, and it was really overwhelming when I saw specific places, and I had to say to the Lord, what do you want me to reveal? What do you want me to say without endangering myself? I'm not exaggerating at all. The way He has been sharing secrets with me and things that are, well, they're pending. Let me put it that way. I think that prayer can make a difference. No, I don't think so. I know prayer can make a difference. Yeah. I'm hoping in this instance it does. Yes. You know, Ephesians chapter 6. You know, I'm a prayer warrior, so I pray a lot. But when I was, Ephesians 6 came to me this morning, where it says that we must come to Him with various kinds of prayers, different kinds of prayers. So there are different levels of prayer. I need you, all of you watching me, to join me in prayer. When we're praising, you'll always see this happening with me. Something will happen and I'll start praying or proclaiming. What you need to do is join us when that happens, please. Because as I was praying earlier, there's a demonic principality that has entered into the United States air, into the air atmosphere. It is because, excuse me, it is because of what is happening on the top, on the very top level at the White House, and decisions being made right now. I'd never seen this before, but I mean, I didn't see it as clearly as this before. I know we've had visitations and demonic strongholds coming in. I don't like to labor on the point of demons, but we are in a spiritual war. Ephesians clearly tells us that we are in a spiritual war. It also says in Corinthians that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they're mighty through God, the pulling down of strongholds. So what the enemy has to do is he has to get into the head of the people. That's why news media is so important and so powerful. They have to get into the mind and the soul of the people. And so it is our prayer that God will break that principality down. For I fear for the people that this terror attack will take place. I'll share that with you later on. It's not to put you in fear at all. We are going to move mountains. The Bible says that in the presence of the Lord, listen to this, in the presence of the Lord, mountains melt like wax before the presence of the Lord. There are a variety of mountains that need to melt in the United States of America, not only in America, all over the world, but specifically Israel. And you know, I on the way here, I overheard these words and this is what it is. God said, I've heard the affliction of my people, and I will come down to deliver them. Remember that? That's what I was reminded this morning of for His people, Israel. Right. Israel is in a very desperate situation. Its greatest ally, the United States of America, seemingly or seems to be turning its back, or at least the leader of this nation does. And if you know behind the scenes stuff, you'll realize that Israel is in a desperate battle, and they want to kill and destroy them, as we know. But I feel that we must enter into a time of prayer for Israel and for America, and watch the news as God changes things in the next 2 weeks. You okay with that? Okay, let's go. Come to the place of refuge. Come to the place of refuge. And come to the place, the holy place. And come to the place of refuge. to the place of refuge. Come to the place of light. And come to the place of his presence. And come to the place of light. And come to the place, secret place. And come to the place of light. Refuge. Come to the place of refuge. Come to the place of light. Come to the place of his presence. Come to the place of light. Come to the place of refuge. Sing it, everybody. Come to the place of light. Come to his holy presence of light. Come to his place of light. I want you to sing that with me all over the earth. I want you to sing it to the people, because there is a city of refuge. There's a place of light in your city. There is a place of light in your nation. Let us invite the people to come to the place of refuge. Let's go. Come to the place of refuge, light. Come to the place of light. Come to his holy presence. Come on. Come to the Lord of light. Come to the Lord of light. Come on, say it again. Come to the Lord of light. Place of refuge. Come to the place of refuge. Come to the place of light. To the Lord of light. Come to the Lord of light. Holy presence. Come to his holy presence. Come on. I'm calling you. I'm calling you to come. I'm calling you to come. I'm calling you to come to the light. I'm calling you to come to my presence. You under my sight. I'm calling you to come to my presence. I stand. Still light in this nation. There is still light upon the earth, says the Lord. What do I speak of? The light of my revelation, the light of my word, the light of my presence will cause your mountains to melt as wax before the presence of the Lord. Hear me, says the Lord. There is light, and light will protect you, but where are the people and the bearers of light? Where are the bearers of light, says the Lord? As you praise, as you shout, as you pray throughout the earth, I will release more light, says the Lord, and it shall protect your highways and your byways. I will not need you to build walls, says the Lord. I will not need you to build walls. I am built a wall of protection, that Islam in its power shall not corrupt the children of this generation. Yes, radical Islam men have said, we will take your children's minds. God says, I say nay. I say nay. This shall not happen to my people, says the Lord. I have heard the affliction of my people Israel. Once again, I've heard the affliction of my people Israel. And now I'm raising up a banner, says the Lord. Yes, there is something I showed my prophet. I saw it, and I'll tell you what I saw. I saw the Hyatt Regency Hotel. It was not any other hotel. I was in it. I was on the 9th or the 10th floor. And suddenly the walls began to crumble down as there was a terror attack. I'm not sure of the city, but I think it could have been Chicago or that region. And the Spirit of the Lord said, even though this shall be something that is only brought upon by those that have been unrighteous, those who have rejected Israel, I told you, Mr. Obama, I told you, if you do not have a captivating love for my Israel, then there shall be death on your streets. There shall be bloodshed in America. But God said, I'm waiting to hear the sound of light. For there shall be bloodshed and there shall be more. But I shall hold back the terror that came on 9/11. For I have said to my prophet, there shall never be another 9/11 in your generation. Therefore those words shall stand, but terror shall be applied to those that have wasted my time. Therefore watch out, for God says, even though it shall be a strike, it shall not be successful, says the Lord. For many years ago in a Hyatt Regency, my prophet stood and prophesied, and yes, said the Lord, it did happen. But I raised up a man that stood against Islam. I raised up a man that stood against the war, against the nations that would come against Israel. Where is that man? I call for that man now, says the Lord. I call for that man again to come onto the scene and take the seat in the White House and be a noble president, says the Lord. Come on! Come to the place of light. Come to the place of light. There is a city of refuge. The city of refuge is my son, Jesus. The city of refuge is Yeshua, the priest who died so that you could be free from your sins. Have I not looked upon this nation and said, you deserve this or that? I have chastised. I have brought upon it things that I never dreamed they would want. But God says, I have looked upon you, and there are righteous men and women that are crying out, releasing light everywhere. Raise up your hands with me, everybody throughout the earth that are listening right now, and begin to praise Yeshua. Begin to praise Yeshua. Begin to praise him, and let the light that is in you come forth. Let the light that is in you begin to go and resurrect and destroy the powers of darkness. 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 Destroy.
All right. So that was pretty much what we wanted to hear about, was, you know, him talking about what was an incident going to happen at the Hyatt Regency. That's why I was asking how far the Hyatt Regency was from where the DNC is. So in the prophecies that he's done, he said, I will shake the Democrats and I will shake the Republicans even more. You know, yeah, this is just you know, I'm trying to put pieces together because of knowing that the DNC is going on this coming up week, knowing that certain groups are obtaining the permits for doing the protest. The size of the protest, they said 2.5 miles. So basically, if you have protesters enveloping the convention center and the other location that they're doing events at, along with the Hyatt Hotel, the probability of something transpiring at the Hyatt is pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much, it's almost a gimme at this point. So it's just interesting that all of this is coming together.
Nice to see you again.
All right. This is the best and smartest gun argument I have heard yet. Here we go.
And now we must turn to the issue of gun violence in America today, because the latest mass shootings in Aurora, Colorado, and Newtown, Connecticut leave us all, liberal and conservative, Republican and Democrat, appalled and disgusted at the carnage. Now, some people, and that includes many of you in this room tonight, want to place the blame for this horror on things like 30-round magazines or semi-automatic rifles. We want to blame something, anything that we can control. But what we really want to ban is violence and murder and insanity. And we don't talk about that, though, because deep in our hearts, each of us knows that violence and murder and insanity are built into the human condition and likely always will be. You know, there are two kinds of animals in this world, predators and prey. No one watches a leopard chase down a gazelle and denies that the gazelle has a right to use its hooves and horns to protect itself from the predator. But there are people in this room tonight and all across the country who would deny that same right to self-defense to other human beings. Such people seem to think that the way to stop the leopard is to cut the horns off of the gazelle, that by somehow making it easier for the predator will simply go away. My friends, this is insane. When you make it easier for the predator, you get more predators. So let's start with the so-called assault weapons, more properly known as semi-automatic rifles. In 2011, the total firearm murders came to 8,583, according to the FBI. Now, during that time, the total murders committed by rifles, all rifles, not just semi-automatic rifles, were 323. That's 3% of all murders. Hammers and clubs kill half again as many people as rifles. Hands and feet murder twice as many. And knives kill 5 times more Americans than all rifles combined. Preventable medical errors kill about 98,000 people per year. Medical malpractice kills more than 12 times as many people as are murdered in the U.S. each year. That's more than 300 times the number killed by all rifles, not just the so-called assault rifles. And yet, no one talks about limits on hammers or knives or doctors or hospitals. No one does that because the good we perceive from hammers and knives and doctors far outweigh their perceived harm. And yet, studies show that firearms prevent anywhere from 800,000 to over 2 million violent crimes every year. The lowest estimate means that 100 times more violent crimes were prevented with firearms than the total murders committed with firearms. That's 100 times as many. Now, in October of 2007, Amanda Collins was walking to her car after a night class at the University of Nevada at Reno. Amanda had a concealed carry permit for her 9mm Glock that she carried for self-defense. Unfortunately for Amanda, UNR is, like most college campuses, a gun-free zone. So, like the law-abiding citizen that she is, she did not have her gun with her in this gun-free zone when she was attacked by James Bila. Bila raped her on the UNR campus less than 300 yards from the campus police office. He then walked away, and a few months later, this human predator went on to murder 19-year-old Breonna Dennison. Amanda Collins went on to say, quote, "I know, having been the first victim, that Breonna Dennison would still be alive had I been able to defend myself that night," unquote. Therefore, I am directing the virtual Attorney General to aggressively challenge any gun control laws that violate Amanda Collins' right not to be raped and Breonna Dennison's right not to be murdered. You're not forced to abandon your First Amendment right when you enter Chicago or New York, or your Fifth Amendment rights when you walk onto a college campus. As virtual president, I will veto on the spot without hesitation, but with a great deal of pleasure, any and all attempts to destroy any of the Bill of Rights, of the Constitution of the United States of America. Because when it's all said and done, the Second Amendment to the Constitution is not there to protect us against criminals, and the people calling for gun control know this. That's why they want gun control instead of crime control. That's why they want laws that, at the stroke of a pen, turn law-abiding citizens into criminals. The Second Amendment is there to protect the American people from tyranny. The Second Amendment is there to protect the American people from politicians. The Second Amendment is there to protect the American people from us. Now, some politicians claim America deserves a vote on this issue. Okay, let's have a vote. Those of you advocating infringement on the right of the people to keep and bear arms need to go to the American people with the 28th Amendment, which would simply read, the Second Amendment to the Constitution is hereby repealed. That would, for the first time, give you the legal authority to do what you have been doing and what you are trying to do now in direct violation of your oath of office to defend the entire Constitution of the United States, not just the parts you happen to approve of. So go ahead, go to the American people and tell them that ultimate power is no longer to be vested in the people who can't be trusted with that power, according to you. Tell them only the government can have that power now. You go out there and try to convince the people of the 38 states that you're going to need to get that amendment passed to agree with your opinion of them versus their opinion of you. I dare you. 12 million unarmed men, women, and children were unable to resist being murdered by their own National Socialist government in Germany. Perhaps 50 million unarmed men, women, and children were murdered by their own Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. 50 million Chinese murdered by their own government under Mao, who also disarmed his people. And in Cuba, and in Vietnam, and in the killing fields of Cambodia. Now you say that can't happen here? You say we're protected? By what? By the Constitution that you're in the process of destroying? You are in violation of your oaths of office by so much as introducing this legislation, let alone passing it. My fellow Americans, the previous inhabitants of this chamber watched as 100 million people were murdered after being disarmed by their own governments. Every single one of those men, women, and children were as real and precious and irreplaceable as the children at Newtown. And I tell you here and now that I will be damned if I will let that happen to the American people.
Yeah. There's common sense for you. And you saw Paul Ryan sitting there. Holder was in there. Yeah. Sick puppy. Yep. Older millennial.
Housing costs are so high because we have a national shortage of housing.
No, we don't. We do not have a national shortage of housing. Every study shows that is complete and total bullshit. Now, we do have a shortage of affordable housing. The difference between having a national shortage of housing and a national shortage of affordable housing is the first one is the fault of builders. The second one is the fault of government. Because in the first one, it's just pretty straightforward. We haven't built enough homes, but we have. Every study shows we have anywhere from a nationwide surplus of 2.7 to 3.5 million houses. We take all the people looking for housing, we have nearly 3 million more homes than those people. If we break it down to like metropolitan and micropolitan, the 381 metropolitan areas in the US, only 4 of them have a housing shortage. And in the micropolitan, which is areas with like 10,000 to 50,000 residents, 19 of the 526 areas have a housing shortage. The rest of them have a huge surplus. You have to understand that from 2010 to 2020, number of houses built did not keep up with the number of families formed. But there's a huge surplus from the previous decades. In fact, when we look at it from 2000 to 2020, housing production exceeded family production by 3.3 million homes. Problem is, you motherfuckers keep printing money. So the money we have is worth less and less and less. Poor mismanagement of the economy is why we can't afford fucking houses. It has nothing to do with a lack of housing. If we took all the people in this country looking for housing and we were to give each of them a home, there would be 3 million extra. Stop trying to pass the blame to private industry. This is a failure of government. This is your failure to manage the economy. This is your failure to regulate the Fed. This is your failure to understand that printing fuckloads of money has consequences. By the way, your avocado toast should not be sagging like that. Leave that bread in the toaster a little longer.
That's the older millennial. Yep. Oh, let's see. I'm going to bypass that one. I need one. You know what? I've got to go here for a minute because I've got to go to my special place. So let me see if we've got a Yeah, let's go here. Yeah, I need to step away for a few minutes. So You guys are going to get a little bit of a Melissa Red Pill. Oh, here we go. Get in there. Paste. Okay, here we go.
To deliver a better life for the people all across this nation.
Hopefully she doesn't talk
that have
medical
been
while I'm
ignored,
away.
neglected, and abandoned. These are the forgotten men and women of our country, and they are forgotten, but they're not going to be forgotten long. These are people who work hard, but no longer have a voice. I am your voice. These are people who work hard, but no longer your voice. These are people who work hard, but no longer your voice.
Hey, they're patriots. I'm done. Typical. I'm working on too many moving parts here. Hey, they're patriots. I love our wonderful president. I was sitting there listening to him. I'm like, didn't he just say that? He said it again. Check it out. One more quick time.
Going to be forgotten long.
Patriots. Typical.
These are people who work hard, but no longer have a voice. I am your voice.
Hey there, patriots. Hey, I'm Melissa Red Pill the World. I have literally, you guys, we're on Rumble Live, we're on BitChute, we're on Brighteon, and we're on Facebook, and I think we're even on X. That's a lot. That's a lot. We're trying to get the truth out every which way that we can. And we're maybe going to go with like what President Trump had, like 1 billion viewers, right? Wouldn't that be great? We're on Brighteon and we're on Oh my goodness, here it goes. Look at that. X. There's that Brighteon. I think that's that, not the Brighteon. Way that we can. Listen to that. Sorry, you guys. President Trump had like 1 billion viewers, right? Wouldn't that be great? We're on Brighteon. Oh, y'all. Oh my, that's ridiculous. Okay, hopefully. See, that's a. There's that Brighteon. I think that's that, not the Brighteon. Way that we can. Listen to that. Okay, bear with me. Wouldn't that be great? Ridiculous. Okay, hopefully. See, okay, never mind on the BitChute. I think I've got some kinks to work out on the BitChute one. Anyway, that's so funny. That's so funny. I need an assistant. Who wants to come and live at Melly's house and come help with some of this stuff? Any takers? I need some people in the live chat to come help Melly. It's a crazy deal. It's a crazy deal to get this going. All right, so let's go have fun. Let's talk about our wonderful president and being Trump on X. It just finally happened. We've been wishing for this day when we would see President Trump back on X, and he's back. And the regular normies, whatever, are flipping out. Did you guys hear they're doing a boycott of Twitter today? Twitter X today. They're not gonna. They're mad because they did not want President Trump to go back on. So anyway, did everybody see everything? Everything's looking good. Everything's a-okay. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if it's good. And then I'm going to play this for you so you see what President Trump said about. He's so brave. He's so courageous. He loves us. He loves his country. There's just nobody like him. Check it out.
If I had to do it over again, you probably think I'm crazy for doing it, actually. But if I had to do it over again, I would have done it over again, because this is so much more important than me or my life. We're going to save this country. This country is going down.
Do you hear what he's saying, you guys? Do you guys hear what he's saying? Thanks for the thumbs up, Songbird. Do y'all hear what he's saying? He's saying he would do it again as far as taking a bullet. I mean, that going out there, and he's going back to Butler. I mean, surely they're not going into that kill box again. Surely it's not going to be in that same venue, which is outrageous. Surely not. But that he's got the heart of a patriot, that he's willing to do whatever it takes to save our country. And he's talking about saving you and me. He knows. I mean, who could do this? Did you see that? Kelly, what's her last name? She just posted that he has spent $60 million on fighting all this lawfare, you guys. $60 million. And that's, or a billionaire, maybe that's not even that big of money. I don't even know. Can't even count that high, right? But the point is, who could do it besides President Trump? Even let's just say you said, I'm going to run for president and I have the heart of a patriot. The problem is they can destroy most anybody because of the money. They can just drown you in debt, but not President Trump and not Elon. And that's what's so amazing. You have these two very wealthy people who just thrown caution to the wind and are willing to do whatever it takes to save our country. One shouting out the truth just on the daily, and the other one making a platform for us to get it out there. We can't lose. We cannot lose. So now that I think I've got everything working, I don't know what's working and what's not working. It doesn't matter. We're here when if you're new here, yes, this is just me with my laptop, and we have been together for 7 years on the Freedom Force Battalion, and we just always get together and we look at how this is biblical. And I thank you guys for always sticking it out with me until we get this figured out, because I'm not a professional. I'm just a lady with a laptop. I've always said that. But the Lord has brought us together so that we can look at how this is biblical. And so this is the place I've put all my videos that I've done since 2017. I was supporting other channels, and then actually 2018, I think, is when we started posting videos. And I'm just like, I've got to put on there how this is biblical, because no one else is really connecting the dots. And the Lord has helped us to understand this is Armageddon. This is the Great Awakening. This is the day we're going to cast out these criminals. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. And they are screeching. The demons are so mad because we will not stop. And it's every time you hear President Trump, you are bolstered to say, I will not stop either. I'm going to stay in here, even though I may not have $60 million to spend. I will do whatever I can with whatever I've been given. Your talents, your time, your money, whatever you have that you are, you're in here in it to win it. All right. So that's, this was one of the posts I wanted you to hear from President Trump. So anyway, check it out. My website, freedomforce.live. If you want to check it out right here, all of our social media is right here. The video channels are right here. Okay. And actually now we're actually on Facebook, and we're on, surprisingly, I thought I was maybe banned, but looks like I'm not. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. It looks like it's confused. Anyway, so I'm thankful that I'm able to do live streams, because I was banned before, but now for some reason I'm able to do live streams over there. So, which is terrific. So anyway, all the links are right over here. All right. And for those of you who are new, these are the books that I've written on end times. I've been teaching children God's word for many, many years. And the Lord used that to help me to prepare for this day when I would be able to piece this together. I'm not really taught by the seminaries, because we know when people go to the colleges and they go to the seminaries, they get sucked into this matrix. It's just another level, another layer of the brainwashing. And I really haven't been for many years, I haven't really been in the mainstream church. And so I think that helped me too. And anyway, I've had some red pilling for years, even way back to when my children were born. I knew certain things, and I was not following into the trap of the mainstream teaching about your children and their medical health, but anyway, I didn't understand what was going on as far as the deep state. And you'll see, I'm hoping that I have the clip for you today, that President Trump said we're going to destroy the deep state. He's calling out the deep state. People who are normies might be like, who is he talking about, the deep state? Years ago, we didn't know who it was either. We didn't maybe necessarily know, looks like Facebook is, I don't know. It looks like it's locked up. Anyway, y'all just pray that I'll be able to stay on there. I'd like to be able to get some more truth over there. Sure would like to. And if it works, if it ends up working, I want you guys to go to all these places and like and share them, okay? Because people need to see alternative news. We know that you cannot trust what's coming out of the mouth of the mainstream news. They are, as President Trump has clearly said, the enemy of the people. And I'm including Fox News in that. It may be, maybe they come out with, they have some good shows and say some good things, but there are certain things they cannot say, they will not say, or they will have what happened to Tucker will happen to them. And I was talking to a dear friend of mine. I said, will they call out the deep state? Will they call out the C blank A? No, they're not doing that. Will they call out the Rothschilds? Will they call out the real criminals in this thing? Will they call out the trafficking, and that Joe Biden is the number one trafficker of all time, in all humanity? This is the kind of thing that they're not going to say on the mainstream media. Will they call out that this is how the C blank A is run? Will they call out what's going on in the Middle East is all about the money and power and run by the cabal? They're not going to do that. That's why they're the enemy of the people. They may say a lot of great things, but they're not telling you the real skinny. All right. So I didn't mean to talk about all that, but anyway, here we go. This is our wonderful president is so brave and courageous. And then of course, Elon was talking about how there was like 1 billion views. Look at this. Let me see if I can find that post. President Trump put this out there. Actually, okay, that's when he first went back on X. There was a post. He said there was 1 billion views, 998 million, whatever. It's 1 billion views. And he says it will even blow up more tomorrow. So far, the Elon Trump chat has been 16.4 million who listened, 84 million views on the post, 319,000 comments, 374,000 likes, 46,000 bookmarks. The level of reach is insane. And this is without factoring in separate posts and clips of the space. So what I said the same thing. That doesn't take into consideration all the people who shared it, live streamed it on their channel, and also people who posted clips of it on other social media, because it was all over Telegram, it was all over True Social, all over all these places, and just clips of it. And that's, some of the stuff I'm going to show you today. So this has had a gigantic reach. That's something from Kamala. She's like, she had like 5 people, 500 people on her channel. Yeah, they're screeching. They're so upset because they realize that this is what's happening and they can't stop it. All right, so everything going good? Uh-oh. Okay, what happened? Okay, y'all, is everything good? Everything good? I want to make sure you guys can see this. Okay, looks like it's good. Okay, I want to tell you something else. My dear, sweet, wonderful husband went up on the roof today and he put the Starlink, because we hadn't really completely installed it, because I wanted to see if it was going to work. So he installed it on the roof. Thank goodness he got back and down from there and he was safe. So I want you guys to post in the chat. Are you getting a good live stream on this? Is it buffering? Is it, what's happening? So it looked like it was good, giving me good service. And the reason I'd really, really like to, if we can do Starlink, is because then I'm not relying on AT&T. I like the fact that, I'm doing Q streaming, because I don't like to rely on Xfinity or any of the cabal, like cable is cabal, TV, Dish or Direct or any of those. I want to watch One American News, and this is basically the only place you can go and watch it, is on Q streaming. If you haven't seen that, go to my channel, and they're really cheap, super cheap. You go here to on my links, freedomforce.live, go to the links and you see where it says Q Streaming Patriot TV. You go right there and you can check it out. You can see the list of all the channels. It's the website is freedomforce.myqstreaming.com. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I am trying to stay away from all this cabal stuff, right? We're trying to stay away from all of what they're trying to do. So I'm really thankful that we have Elon over here on X. It's amazing that he purchased X with all of his billions. He has purchased X. I'm sure he's taken a loss because they're trying to shut him down from being able to get ad revenue, but he's willing to do it, just like President Trump. Amazing. So I'm so thankful that we have that ability to share all this information. So let's all just share all this information everywhere we possibly can. All right. Okay, there was something else I was going to tell you, but I got off the track. It's so easy for me to do. All right, so this one was where President Trump first went back on X. And before I forget, I've got to tell you that we were told on the board the specific post that says exactly this, that Trump will be back on Twitter. Look, he says, look to Twitter, exactly this, my fellow Americans, the storm is upon us. Okay, so he hasn't said that yet. He hasn't said exactly that. I'm expecting the post to be exactly that on Twitter, or now X. Okay, and so it will be on at Real Donald Trump, and it will at some point say, my fellow Americans, the storm is upon us. So I don't expect that to happen, on his first day back or even his first month back. To be honest, I'm betting it's going to be, as I talked about on my last video, I'm betting it's going to be after the election. And if they're on the 6th of January, where they're saying or 5th, whatever it turns out to be, where they say, we're not going to certify this election. If that's what they end up doing, they're going to say we're not going to certify the election, and they're going to say, oh, we have to bring out the Marines. What if, or put in martial law to stop the Civil War, because we would they know we would be so upset if they said they weren't going to certify a duly elected president. What if that's the boomerang we've been waiting on? So many things are boomerang, but what if that is the boomerang where they think they're calling out the military to stop us, but it's really the mass arrests on them? Because that sounds very much like a precipice to me. When they have the gall to say, and Raskin was saying this, he actually said, I shared this clip over on my social media the other day. He said, we can't let him be back in office. If we have to do what we have to do, Congress has to stop it and potentially call out the National Guard to quell any angst from the people. So just hang on tight. And at that point, what if President Trump said, my fellow Americans, the storm is upon us? Okay. So now he's back. Remember when we knew this post was out there since like 2018, and you have President Trump, he's been kicked off of Twitter. How is he ever going to get back onto Twitter? We didn't know. And then you see Elon Musk. You see all this playing out where Elon Musk purchases it, of course, changes the name. But then all that time, President Trump has been on Truth Social. He hasn't been posting on X. Even when Elon put him back on, he still didn't post until now. So I'm buckled in for the duration until this is done. I'm just going to keep plowing through, just like you are. And so I think through all that and put in the comment section, put in the chat what your thoughts are. If you think that that's possibility, I think we're looking for a big boomerang, that they're going to try something crazy like that to not certify an election, and then say we're going to call out the National Guard, say they're going to stop all this the violence in the streets and then whatever, and then it actually boomerangs on them. That's very precipice to me. What do you think, guys? Precipice? Precipice? What a name that is. All right, so here's where he first started posting back yesterday. And if you can find a way, where there's a will, there's a way. I got back on. I didn't get my original account back, but I got back on. So find a way to get back on if you can. And so don't forget to follow at Real Donald Trump and at Melissa Red Pill. All right. So here's where President Trump, I think this was his, let's see, what did he say? His first post was, okay, that he had done one August 24th, 2023 with his mugshot. And here it's almost a year. Can you believe it's almost a year, you guys? Almost a year. So then he just posted this yesterday. So check it out.
Breath in my body, and I will never, ever let you down.
We have a president who actually fulfilled the promises he made during the campaign, securing the border to foreign policy.
He now has a record as president that's pretty damn impressive. Breaking news out of Palm
The
Beach,
FBI
Florida.
has executed an unprecedented search warrant at President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. The former president has both sides of the political aisle up
He is
in
a
arms.
dangerous and unstable moment in American history.
The Justice Department has just indicted former President Donald Trump.
For 7 years, they hated him, they targeted him, they hunted him. This is the epitome of the abuse of the prosecutorial power to preempt political decisions.
I never thought anything like this could happen in America. The only crime that I have committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it. The more that a broken system tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing ahead. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. I have committed is to fearlessly defend. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. They're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way, and I will never be moving. On November 5th, 2024, justice will be done. We will take back our country, and we will make America great again. America will always rise to every challenge and overcome every danger.
Donald Trump seems to always get stronger with challenge. These types of things, I think, give him strength.
When I'm reelected, I will totally obliterate the deep state. As long as we have pride in our beliefs.
Did you guys hear that? When I'm elected, I will obliterate the deep state. Did you catch that? This is the video, the first post that he had back on. I'm sure it's gotten so many views. We'll look at that in just a second. Well, I hit the escape button. It's okay.
Courage in our convictions and faith in our God, then we will not fail.
Never doubt it. Do not ever, 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 ever doubt it. Never doubt it. And he's talking more about faith in God. I'm going to show you a clip about that too. I'm also going to show you the sealed indictments. I'm also going to show you the seized assets. So just hang on. I'm going to show you all of that. Plus, we're going to look at this wonderful truth in God's word in Isaiah 11. You're going to love it. 45 million people, you guys, have seen this one post right here where he talks about all that he's been through and that we will not fail and that he will obliterate the deep state. 45 million people. And so, yeah, a lot of people are sharing this truth. I'm telling you, this is the Great Awakening, my friends. This is the battle of Armageddon. It's not a tactile war in the Middle East. This is a digital war, and you are one of God's chosen warriors. How about that? How you like that? Isn't that exciting? All right, so now let's see what else he said. Oh, this is the thing that's happening today at 8 p.m. Eastern time. They are mad, big mad, and they want to F Elon Musk and F Trump. That's what they say they want to do. So they're saying, we're going to go away mad. We're going to have a blackout of Twitter. So let me just tell you something. All this time, we've been censored and banned, and all this has happened to us. And did we go away and say, forget X and forget Twitter? We don't want to be on Twitter. Forget it. No, we're like, I want to get back on Twitter because I want to share the truth. We always try to find a way. If they want to ban themselves, go ahead. Go on. That will not bother me none. I do want them over there, though. We need, the whole point of freedom of speech is that we have a marketplace of ideas where we can all come together and we can all discuss things back and forth, right? Isn't that the whole point? And if you don't want to listen to someone, don't go to their channel. But if you want to black out Twitter, that's fine. But we're going to stay on here and have the truth. And the question is, just like with us, we were forced out. And we had to go find a place where, like we found on Telegram, we found Rumble, we found places to go and share the truth. But we're not forcing them out. And they talk about that too in the thing yesterday. All right, so I'm going to show you that. What if you do post on Twitter? Make sure you like, share, and subscribe on mine, Melissa Red Pill, and put the hashtag Trump on X. Hashtag Trump has been trending, but he's also saying he wants us to put Trump on X. Okay, so let's do that, and let's just keep pushing all this out there. So here was the post as of last night when it finished. It said 2.1 million tuned in, and of course now he said a billion have seen it. It's amazing, or parts thereof. It was 3 hours long. I wanted you guys to know this in case you didn't get to see it. Okay, so I had a meeting I had to go to last night. I'm like, I don't want to go to this meeting. I want to see Elon and Trump, but I had to go. And so I had to go to this meeting. And so I missed some of it. But it turned out that the first hour, they were having a DDoS attack. So let me just tell you something. X is highly sophisticated software. It is not going to be just your average bear in the basement of someone's house, their mother's house, who is able to do a DDoS attack. Have you thought about this? Who did this? Who has the ability? Who has the technology to be able to do this? Who has the manpower, the technology power, the computer power? Big tech, and working with the government. That's who it was. Had y'all thought about that? That's who it was. This was an inside job. This is an operation by the C-blank-A. They did not want this. They wanted, Elon to censor President Trump. They've never wanted them to have President Trump back on X to begin with. All this time, they've been censoring us. And now they didn't want this to happen. And now they're, big mad, and they tried to stop it. And the amazing thing is, because, and they'd already done several hours of testing all of yesterday to prepare for this very thing. And here it was. The first hour they had stopped it, but then the amazing tech guys that work with Elon over at X were able to untangle it and get it going. Amazing. And just like with President Trump, he's like, we're not going to stop. We're just going to keep whatever we have to do to win this battle. And it's like, like a regular tactile war, if you need to take this hill, you're going to just keep plowing through until you take that hill, whether this is technically like one of those hills. Yeah, they are desperate, Coast Rider. They are desperate, and I love it. So enjoy the show. Enjoy their desperation. It's really, really fun. And enjoy all the people who are big mad. And most of them, bless their hearts, are just brainwashed. They don't realize that they've been misled. Feel sorry for them. And I hear when President Trump, I'm going to show you something here in a second. President Trump feels sorry for some of these people who are so brainwashed. But anyway, I'll show you that in a second. All right. So here is the very first thing that happened on the live interview of just really, not really an interview, just a talk. Just a nice neighborly talk between President Trump and Elon Musk, which is really nice. He mentioned this. I don't know if it's on this clip, but then, when you're having when it's always this adversarial relationship, you can't just sit and have a nice conversation because you're just under attack. So it's nice to just have a conversation. So that's what he talked about here. But also he's saying here how inspiring it was what President Trump did when he took a bullet and then came up and said, fight, fight, fight. That is just beyond inspiring. Check it out.
attempt, which was an incredible thing. And I have to say that your actions after that assassination attempt were inspiring. You, instead of shying away from things, instead of ducking down, you were pumping your fist in the air and saying, fight, fight, fight. And I think that's, the president of the United States represents America. And I think that is America. That is strength under fire. And so that's,
Who would do that? Not King Charles. Who would do that? Who's got that kind of stamina? Nobody. Just Trump. Biden? No. Kamala? No. There's nobody like Trump. He is the chosen one for this day. No doubt about it.
A big, part of the reason why I was excited to endorse you as the president of the United States for having another term here is that was just incredibly inspiring. But I mean, what was it like for you?
Not pleasant.
Not pleasant.
I said there was blood. I had more blood. I didn't know I had that much blood. The doctors later told me that the ear is a place that is a very bloody place if you're going to get hit. But in this case, it was probably the best alternative you could even think about because it went at the right angle, and it was a hard hit. It was very. I guess you would say surreal, but it wasn't surreal. I was telling somebody you have instances like this or like a lot less than this where you feel it's a surreal situation. And I never felt that way. I knew immediately that it was a bullet. I knew immediately that it was at the ear.
Yeah. And
because it hit very hard, but hit the ear. And I also heard people shout, bullets, bullets, get down, because I moved down pretty nicely, pretty quickly. And we had bullets flying right over my head after I went down. So I'm glad I went down. The bigger miracle was that I was looking in the exact direction of the shooter. And so it hit me at an angle that was far less destructive than any other angle. So that was the miracle. That was, for those people that don't believe in God, I think we got to all start thinking about that. Yeah.
I want you to hear that. First of all, he's saying it was a miracle. He said that multiple times. Again, we talk about biblical. Why would it be a miracle? Because this is something different. This is something different. This is not your typical political election. This is not that. This is biblical. This is the end times for them. This is what I always talk about. This is the end of their rule over us. That's what this whole point of this book is. End times and 1,000 years of peace is about the end for them. So he's saying that. He's basically saying, I'm the chosen one to lead the people and save America. Isn't that what he's saying? That's what he's saying. And that's what this book is, End Times and 1,000 Years of Peace. It's the end times for their criminal cabal rule over us. And then he says, what was the next thing he said? Hang on. I want to make sure to go over everything.
For those people that don't believe it.
Okay, we're going to talk about that, but one more thing.
So it hit me at an angle that was.
He said he was looking at the shooter. Check it out.
Far less destructive than any other angle. So that was the miracle. That was for those people that don't believe in God. I think we got to all start thinking about that.
Okay, he said, I was looking in the direction of the shooter. It's just very, very interesting. Very interesting. And the words that he was saying, it was like, there's some really bad people here. Really bad people here. Remember that? That's what he was saying just before the shots were fired. It's just so much of this is just so compelling. But the Lord is all over this. The Lord has all of this. It's a miracle. The whole thing. It's just it's not the Red Sea, but it's like the Red Sea. It's something that it's enabling us to cross over into this new beautiful day that we're going to have, the millennial kingdom of Christ on earth, because we're not going to continue to be under their boot. and they have not been able to stop him with lawfare. They have not been able to stop us. They have not been able to stop with and try to on their attempts to kill him. Clearly, this was an inside job. They've not been able to, do any of the things they've tried to do. All right. Then he also says, for those of you who don't believe in God, it's time to start to think about that. I think that's a great way for him to say it. He's not trying to force anyone into belief. We can't do, when someone's forced to do something, then they rebel. You're like, it's too hard sell. It's, he's just saying, think about that. Really think about that. And it's so similar to, come let us reason together. Let's think about that. Let's talk about it. Look at this. This is real. This is a miracle. There's just no other explanation. Think about that. So I thought that was super cool. Check it out. That's a little bit more of this clip.
That you have to, I'm a believer now. I'm more of a believer, I think, and a lot of people have said that to me. A lot of great people have said that to me, actually. But it was amazing that I happened to be turned just at that perfect angle, and all because I put down a chart on immigration that showed that the numbers were so great. I love that chart even more
maybe
now.
it's a sign. Maybe that's a sign.
It's an immigration sign.
You highlighted a serious issue.
Yeah.
At that moment.
Yeah. So yeah, President Trump said he was going to sleep with that sign. Okay, so here's that one little clip. So you might want to grab this. I just put this on the social media. You might want to grab this clip that I just put over on. It's on my Telegram, my Twitter, all these ones. Grab it and share it with people, because I think that'll help them to see a different side of him than maybe what they've been shown by the mainstream media.
Looking in the exact direction of the shooter, and so it hit me at an angle that was far less destructive than any other angle. So that was the miracle. That was for those people that don't believe in God. I think we got to all start thinking about that. You have to, I'm a believer now. I'm more of a believer, I think, and a lot of people have said that to me. A lot of great people have said that to me, actually. But it was amazing that I happened to be turned just at that perfect angle, and all because I put down a chart on immigration that showed that the numbers were so great.
All right. Ooh, that was loud. Sorry about that. All right. So I want you to see that. All right. So this one, believing in God. Here's that. I think that's that same little clip on that.
Firing took place very soon. So what they think is that this guy ran to his site.
Okay. I want you to hear this. This is an interesting part. He's talking about the police officer and what happened with that. Check this out.
It's like you can ask for a better location. It's like
no, that would have been the spot. You know what people think is when the local policeman, who by the way, he really he did what he was supposed to do. He couldn't hold on any longer, and then when he got his head just peeking above, this guy standing there with a gun at his head, and when he fell down again, hurt his ankle very badly. But he was making the calls. But what happened is the firing took place very soon. So what they think is that this guy ran to his site, which he had all planned out with the gun. He ran to the site and he started shooting fast, and maybe that's why he sort of missed. I mean, he got me, but it could have been a much bigger problem.
But he totally would have hit if you hadn't turned your head. So there was it was a very near thing.
It was a miracle. If I hadn't turned my head, I would not be talking to you right now, as much as I like you.
Exactly.
All right. So Chris Martenson, Martenson, on Twitter X, has been working on videos about this, and he's saying, and I understand what President Trump is saying. He's not calling out the C. Blanquet. He's not calling him out, but you and I can. He can't. It's so similar to with the jab. He could not bring, he says enough stuff and he's under so much literal fire as it is. So, but we can say certain things and say, there's no physical way that this young man could have hurried and gotten into that position to fire off these shots, because this gun has a rifle, has a scope in it that has to be very, very still. There's no way. There's just no way that he would have had that ability. So he's kind of leading us in that direction to go, oh, he had to really hurry. Okay, you see how he does? He's pointing us in that direction, because it's in my strong opinion, this was not this young man, this Crooks young man. Later on, he says something about it's a really sad situation, and yes, I know he's talking about Corey, who was killed, which is awful. But I think he's also talking about it's an awful situation when someone is used by the C blank A as their patsy and is killed. Like Lee Harvey Oswald, Sirhan, all these different ones who've been used by them. It's a very sad situation when someone is brainwashed and potentially MK Ultra. He can't say all that, but you and I can. And anyway, I would just encourage you to watch my videos that I just posted a few weeks ago. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Let me see these ones here. I talk about where is it? Well, where is it? Okay, the second shooter, this one right here, the second shooter, and I've got inside job proof, shot heard around the world, all these. Specifically, I think this one is where we're going into, what was the building, and the shooter and all that. Okay, so check that one out. I think you'd really, really like seeing that. I think he's kind of pointing us in that direction and expecting us to be able to go, there's no way he had time to do that. He's saying it's how quick it had to go. All right. So I want you to see that. All right. And then this one, he's one other quick one. He's talking about Elon saying, it's just that should never in the world had someone up on this roof, which is outrageous. And that President Trump is not really saying this, but Elon is kind of saying, how in the world could the Secret Service, SS, right, have done this? How could they have done this? This was a perfect kill box. He doesn't use that word, but that's what he's saying. Check it out.
Very competent in taking that shot to stop the attempted assassination. But I mean, there does seem to be, some pretty significant failings elsewhere in the system. Like, there's just no way that, like, how on earth does a shooter get on a roof 130 yards away? That seems crazy. I think most people people are wondering how on earth could such a thing happen.
Well, I view it as two ways. There should have been nobody on the roof. There were people, because there were so many tens of thousands of people there. There were people that were seeing him. And there was one woman with a red shirt and Trump all over it. And she's screaming. And that guy's got a gun. You saw it probably. There's a guy up there with a gun.
I mean, it's like, I guess, for my part, and I think probably many members of the public are wondering how the heck are, basically people wondering by pointing out there's a guy on the roof with a gun.
Yeah.
They're seeing it, but somehow it's not being addressed. That does seem crazy.
Well, they're going to learn from the communication between the local police, who sort of had an idea, and then ultimately a man lifted himself up to the roof, could barely do it because he was pulling himself up, and he saw the man with the gun. The man with the gun pointed the gun at him. He thought he was probably going to get shot, but he was like pulling himself up, and because of that, he couldn't get to his gun, and he fell down. Actually, very badly hurt his leg, his ankle. I hear very badly, but he fell down, and he did. From what I understand, he did say there's a guy up there with a gun, and the shooting started very quickly after that. I think it forced the shooter to go maybe quicker. He was supposed to be a very good shot.
Yeah.
My sons, Don and Eric, they can't believe what happened, but they said from 130 yards, a bad shot would hit that target almost every time. They said it's like in golf, thinking a 2-foot putt.
Yeah, it's not a tough shot.
It's not a long shot. The Secret Service person had the long shot. He had a triple the distance actually. So it was a.
It makes me wonder what if he. I know he's talking about the guy who took out Crooks, but it makes me wonder: did the real sharpshooter? Did he have a longer shot? Doesn't that make you wonder? When he keeps talking about this, you guys, just something, I think he's giving us clues I really do think he's giving us clues. But the real sharpshooter. And here in a second, listen for this. He's going to say it's a real shame. It's really sad. And I think he's talking about Crooks. But then he quickly shifts to Corey. But I think he's saying, listen for it and see what you think. I think he's saying it's a sad thing that the CBLNK uses these patsies for this, and then they kill them.
A terrible thing. Look, it's hard. I have to say this about the Secret Service. When I went down,
I have to say this. I have to say this about the Secret Service. I have to say this about the Secret Service. I don't necessarily want to say this, but I have to say this to give myself cover. Okay? You see what I'm saying? So you see, when you listen really carefully what President Trump is saying, he uses this very strange terminology.
and I went down based on, I think they're screaming, but other people also, because people saw this happen. You had so many people. One of the miracles was that nobody ran. I mean, if a gun goes off, the crowd control people showed us this. When guns go off, and it does happen in stadiums at a soccer match or some kind of a match,
Yeah, that was a miracle that it didn't turn into this horrible mayhem. Maybe it's on this one. Okay, keep looking for this one clip. I want you guys to hear about this. How he's saying this is sad about Crooks.
Your head.
He doesn't say the word Crooks, but in context, I think that is what he's saying.
well, the amazing thing is that the sign, I said, bring down that sign on immigration, and it was literally about an eighth of a second where it would be good, and after that it was going to be a disaster no matter what. It's a lot of money for them and for two others. Perfect angle, which was exactly at this shooter. Very sad situation. Such a sad situation. As you know, we lost somebody that was great, Corey.
Did y'all catch that? That's the one. That's finally, I found the clip. That's the one I wanted you to hear. Listen to it one more time. Listen to it and tell me what you think.
Second where it would be good, and after that it was going to be a disaster no matter which way you were.
So he's clearly talking about the shooter shooting him. Okay, talking about Crooks. Everyone thinks he's talking about Crooks. Okay.
Basic, but it just had that perfect angle, which was exactly at this shooter. Very sad situation. Such a sad.
About this shooter. Such a sad situation.
Bad situation.
Did you hear that? He's talking about Crooks. Did y'all catch that? We'll play it one more time. Listen to what in context he's talking about Crooks, and he's saying such a sad situation. And of course, then immediately he shifts to Corey, but in context he was talking about Crooks because think of it this way: this young man has been likely MK Ultra'd and brainwashed into thinking that he's doing something heroic. And they're using him to as the patsy to kill him, like Lee Harvey Oswald.
Which was exactly at this shooter. Very sad situation. Such a sad situation. As you know, we lost somebody that was great, Corey, who a firefighter.
Yeah. So then he goes into that. Now, someone T. Brinkman made a point. Had the Secret Service shooter had the triple the distance, would that be the distance to the water tower? So that would be the distance, but it wouldn't be the correct trajectory from what I can tell from Chris Martenson, Martenson. And like I said, you can go back and look at my other videos that I have on Rumble, but I don't think that would be the correct trajectory because the same bullet that hit President Trump's ear also hit the hydraulics, and it also hit this man on the bleachers, and he's one of the men who's been in the hospital. So that would have to come from the angle near to Crooks, and we're thinking it's not on the first floor. It's likely on the second floor window behind Crooks, and then they were able to take him out. They were able to take out Crooks easily because he was right there. So I think it was, this is speculation, of course, but it's not a lot of speculation because the audio file tells the tale. There's no way that he had enough time to do all this. So I didn't mean to get off into all that right now, because if you want to know more about that, go over to these videos right here, where it's talking about the second shooter proof and all that. Okay, so I want you to see that, and And then I want you to hear was one other portion where they're talking about the family. Someone wrote a check to them for $1 million, and of course the wife said that I really appreciate it, but I just wish I had my husband back, and my heart goes out to them. Just it's too horrible for words.
A great gentleman, a great Trumper. He was just a fantastic family and a fantastic man. And a friend of mine came up, Elon, and said, I'd like to give the family some kind of help. And I said, that's great. He said, do you mind? I said, I don't mind at all. And he wrote out a check for $1 million, gave it to the wife. And, she said, this is really nice, but I'd rather have my husband back, which is a nice thing for somebody to say, to be honest. She's great. The family is great. And we raised a lot of money for them and for two other gentlemen who are unbelievable people also. They were hit really badly. They thought they were not going to make it, and they did. The doctors in the Butler area, I tell you, they were incredible. They saved the two, and they were really hit tough. Both.
Okay, so I want you to hear that, and here's where they're talking about this was no doubt a coup. Check this out.
Yeah, everywhere on Earth. It's just an everywhere on Earth thing, and it's just not possible for the United States to absorb, everyone.
Okay, let me back up. Let me stop real quick. Okay, Songbird. Yeah, I have seen the video with a flash from the window, but when Chris Martenson looked at that more closely, he could tell when there was not when the gunfire was not going on, that those windows were closed. You could see a reflection on the windows. So he's saying definitively that the shot did not come from the first floor. But anyway, so we'll have to watch and see. I haven't watched one of his videos in the past few days, so I don't know what else he's had to say about that. But that thing, I think, has been, he said clearly was debunked. Okay. That those windows were actually closed because this one guy, Stewart, had the video for a long, long time of that entire metal building. All right, so back to the coup.
From Earth, or even a few percent of the rest of Earth, it's just not possible. So,
well, Elon, we're going to have to finish this up. We're going to have the largest deportation in history of this country, and we have no choice. Otherwise, we're going to have a country. What they've done to our country. Think of it, with in Venezuela and in some of these other countries, crime is down 50, 60, 70, 80%. And you would be the same. You would have. Yeah. I'll tell you what, Venezuela has not gotten rid of all of them. They've gotten rid of about 70% of their really bad people. Their jails are about 50% put into the United States. The same with other countries. Sure. Some are at 30%, some are at 50%. They're all different. But the bottom line is they're all going to be at 100%. Why wouldn't you put 100% of it? And they're doing it right now while this third-rate phony candidate. Don't forget, I beat Biden. He failed in the debate miserably. And, some people said, oh, gee, it's too bad. It's too bad he did so badly, or I did well in the debate. The first night they said, wow. One of the people at CNN said that was the greatest debate performance I've ever witnessed. And then 2 days later, they didn't talk about that. They just said he was bad. But that's okay. That's the way I get treated, and I don't mind that at all. What I can tell you is this. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden in a different... Look, she hasn't done an interview since this whole scam started. And say what you want. This was a coup.
That was a coup. Terrence Williams just put out the post. Terrence K. Williams, you don't follow him. He's so funny. I share some of his stuff from time to time. But he's saying Kamala has stolen, a black woman's voice. She's stolen the black race because she's not black. She's stolen, and then the nomination. So she's just a thief. He's got a great way about him. I love him. All right, so this is where they're talking about Israel and the dome and he says there are other countries that have a dome. Maybe you put in the comment section in the chat, what do you think? Which places have a dome besides Israel?
That have targeting parameters for the United States, for other countries.
And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to build an iron dome over us. Israel has it. We're going to have the best iron dome in the world. We need it, and we're going to make it all in the United States. But we're going to have protection. because it just takes one maniac to, start something. We're going to have protection, and we're going to have. Why shouldn't we have an Iron Dome? Israel has one. Some other places have one that nobody even knows about, frankly. But Israel has it. We're going to have an Iron Dome. But
Okay, so MJ Truth had shared this, and he said, "Okay, what was the first country you thought of when he said that?" Okay, you guys put it in the chat. What do you think is the first place that came to your mind that it would have an Iron Dome? Okay, I'm gonna give you a second to type it in, and then I'm gonna see if you guys thought of the one that I thought of. Okay, so here's the one he's talking about, that we have no president.
Political advisor that thinks this looks good. He thinks this looks good because it looks so bad, and it's ridiculous. I mean, and he's been doing that for a long time. He can't lift the chair. The chair weighs about 3 ounces. It's meant for children and old people to lift, and he can't lift it. The whole thing is crazy.
Well, he's clearly. He's clearly like, we just don't have a president. Right?
You don't have a president, and she's going to be worse than him because she is a San Francisco.
We don't have a president. Not like what they would think of, but we have a commander in chief. How about that? Because he was not duly elected. Biden was not duly elected, and President Trump never conceded. And so he is still our commander in chief. All right. So anybody, Russia? I don't think so. I don't think they do. Yes, we know Israel has an Iron Dome. Yes, I see your post, TKD Bob. We were thinking Antarctica, because that's where they built a lot of bunkers for themselves and as a safe place to go. And there are that no one is allowed to go there. It's an international treaty that no one is allowed to go there. That's just an interesting, that's what a lot of people were thinking, is potentially Antarctica. He doesn't say, but that's who we were thinking. Okay, this was funny. Our president is, whatever you want to call him, our commander in chief, our hero. He is so funny. He said, you got to do something. You got to really do a good job to make everybody hate you. Check it out.
Biden actually did something that was impossible. Both sides hate him, both sides. That was a hard thing to do, unification.
Yeah, no.
Biden actually.
Oh, it's so funny. He's so funny. There's just some unification. It did say on the board that we would all come together, maybe around our hatred for Biden and Kamala, and really the deep state. Really, I mean, that's our common thing. I mean, you and I could sit here and talk about things and find something that we disagree on. We could sit here and talk about, oh, I agree on this and that and the other. We could finally find something that you and I disagree on. Okay, whatever. Okay, fine. We're not trying to be cookie cutters, but we agree on one thing. We despise the deep state. We despise demons who have taken over our country, and we want them out, out, out. All right, so this was just priceless. It's just a little clip at the end of this one where it talks about that, we could just have a conversation. How cool is that? Kamala can't string two sentences together, and it's without cackling and without becoming just this complete nonsense. Doesn't make any sense at all. So check it out with what Donald Trump and Elon Musk are talking about here.
I think it's obvious that you're a believer and an advocate of free speech, because during your first term as president, you were attacked relentlessly every day, often very unfairly with false attacks, and you didn't try to shut down the media. You didn't try to inhibit their freedom of speech, and I think that says a lot.
Well, the good thing is that you and I have, and some people, very few, we can get the word out.
That is a very interesting point. I don't want to forget about that. President Trump does not stifle free speech. He's always let people go ahead and speak their mind. It's amazing.
Although sometimes it's hard because they don't want to print it, like we're having a great conversation right now. Kamala wouldn't have this conversation. She can't because she's not smart. She's not a smart person, by the way. She can't have this conversation. And Biden, we don't even have to talk about it. I mean, he couldn't have this conversation. He would have given up on the first half of a question. He would have walked out. He would have said, "Where am I? Where am I going?"
And so, in their defense, not that I'm, an apologist for Kamala, But this is the thing: when you're having to lie and obfuscate and do backflips about what you're discussing, it makes it a lot harder. Okay, so that is true. It is easy to talk about the truth because the truth uh, adds up. The truth fits. It makes it very, very easy to have a discussion and maybe some fine nuances. But when you're way off the reservation, when you're completely going against the Constitution, then it makes it really hard to to talk about it because you're going to get caught in a tangle, an unconstitutional tangle. All right, let's keep going. Oh, don't forget, support Mike Lindell. He is working hard, you guys. He's not a billionaire like President Trump, and he spent his entire fortune, $60 million. So if you need anything, go and check it out. Go. He's got his pillows on sale for $19.98. There used to be $60. So check that out. Go and get some of those things from him. MyPillow.com/Melly. He's got all these great sales going on. So check it out and see if there's some things that you want to get for people for their birthday, for just for yourself, for your puppy dog, some towels, some beautiful towels. These towels will last you so long. They're just wonderful, wonderful towels. So check it out and support Mike Lindell. He's absolutely amazing, and he's taking it on the chin. This is the video I wanted to show you guys from the last time I said, oh, there's this guy who said he would be willing to take a bullet for President Trump. Y'all want to see that video?
Okay. All right. We've already seen this, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it there. Get back to our stuff. Yeah, I had an emergency bathroom break there. All right. Carly Bonet says, when Gutfield drops the mic. Here we go.
Well, first I want to point out something Jessica said, that Trump began as a millionaire and now he's a billionaire. I think that makes him an expert in this. I would rather listen to somebody who began as a millionaire and is now a billionaire than somebody who doesn't have a damn clue about economics. I've never heard a candidate today more unsure of themselves on a topic than Kamala Harris. I think she's been burdened by the weight of expectations put on her by the media. I've never seen a better campaign ad for Trump. She's campaigning better for Trump than Trump is. First, let's talk about the down payment issue on the House. A lot of this stuff is infuriating, because they're treating the American public like idiots. She makes a proposal that is only half an equation. The first half is, here's a nice thing for you. The second half is missing, who pays for it? You saw this with student loan theft, described as forgiveness. Who paid for it? You paid for it. You see with immigration policy, who's footing the billions and all that free stuff? You're paying for it. Nothing is free. Nothing is free. And the sooner or later you figure that out, the better off you're going to be. And that's directed at Democrats who don't understand that these policies are going to sink this country. You know, if you cap prices, you increase scarcity by diminishing competition. People can call her a communist, but you got to explain this, because the media won't ask the follow-up questions. How do you plan on doing this? Please give me an example. Give me an example where industries got together in a room and decided to drastically increase prices. That doesn't exist. The only example they'll have is, a bodega raised prices on umbrellas when it rained. That's all they got. There is no payoff for industries to artificially inflate their prices, because the people who drive the prices are the consumers. That is, if you want to understand supply and demand, it's the consumers who drive the prices. There is absolutely no debate on this. There is not a single economist who would agree that this is the right thing to do. We can go and talk about Eastern Bloc countries. You can look at the cheap, terrible cars that they made and the appliances they made, but you already know that story. So how do you keep a debate alive if we know this is a fraudulent idea? You don't talk to economists. You listen to politicians or talking heads like me who have to do the research, because I'm sick and tired of hearing people pretend like they know what they're talking about on TV, but they don't. So you won't see economists on other shows, other networks asking these questions. Like, can you give me an example of how this is done? What are the major industries? What is the right price? What is too high? What is too low? Can the government set prices based on not having a knowledge of an industry? What do you mean exactly by price gouging? How is that done beyond unique exceptions? Price gouging is a weak phrase directed at weaker minds.
Can I just add?
Bravo. Go ahead. Kamala has no time to.
All right. So, Trump is going on stage now. I cannot stay on long enough to play him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and end this here so that you guys can tune in to Trump's speech. Give me a second here to pull it up and get you guys a link for that. And give you, because I'm not seeing anybody on YouTube doing it. Okay, and let me get the link here, and I'm going to drop this into the chat. I still got a lot of work to get done here. It stopped raining finally. Here we go for those of you who want to see the speech. This is on Donald Trump's channel on Rumble. You'll notice that there are no commercials, and you don't get the RSBN commercials and advertisements popping up all over the screen. It focuses on him and stay on him. You know, if you want to watch RSBN, that's great, but you know, half the time you're going to have commercials. You're going to have these advertisements flashing on the screen and everything else. Donald Trump's channel does not do that. I'm also going to drop this over on X as well. Give me a second for those of you that want to catch it over there. And I will drop it on Facebook as well. So just give me a second to do that. Click that. And that should bring me over to, come on now. There we go. And then here is Trump's Rumble channel for those of you on the Facebook side. All right. With that, I'm going to tell you that our Creator loves you. His Son, the Christ, loves you. And I love you. And I will see you either later today or I will see you again tomorrow. Peace.